there's protests in China over the COVID policies, right? So you know this, right? Okay.
Hey, they're not suppressing their soul's desire for freedom like they're supposed to.
So after fanning, but then look at the New York Times. After fanning COVID fears, China must now try to allay them. What, after fanning COVID fears? You mean unlike the... Is this like Chris Christie calling somebody else an overeater?
It's almost like they're trying to see, because they so admire China, anything lockdown, like the WF of them. Now they're like, okay, let's see how China, because we're trying to get to China level lockdowns, right? Let's see how they, when they want it to turn off the thing they started, how quick they can do it, and see what we can learn so we can do it here. That's how I take that.
Oh,
So you know how they always say, "Oh, China did a great job locking it all down."
Now let's see how they can turn it all around.
Turn it off, and can we steal that to be ahead in AI or whatever the hell sick motive we got?
Because this is what they say: Beijing had long warned the only effective response was testing, quarantine, and lockdowns. As it shifts policy, it must change how it portrays the risk. So do you. So do you.
Beijing, you assholes also long warned that, and some of you still do.
They're acting like, oh, China's nuts with their policies. For nearly 3 years, the Chinese government deployed its considerable propaganda apparatus to fan fears about COVID, just like you did here in the United States.
Well, thank God we don't live under communism, huh?
Right. Thank God we had capitalism, fear-mongering.
Only system that has...
doing fans to justify large-scale quarantines, frequent mass testing, and the tracking of more than 1 billion people. As the authorities now shift their approach to the pandemic, they face the task of downplaying those fears. Until this past week, during which there were rallies voicing extraordinary public opposition to the stringent zero-COVID rules, government officials and state media were still emphasizing the most ominous medical news about the pandemic, like you guys are doing here. Isn't this nuts?
You know what I realized today, too, when you see, like, if I just see a friend's like, communism has never worked. I mean, besides Vietnam, where they beat us and it worked, they don't mean for the people of the country. When they go capitalism works or communism, they mean for the leaders of the country. Right. How convenient is it for them? So when they go communism doesn't work, they mean it doesn't work out for the leader. Like, it's not for the people. They can have famines and stuff in China. That wouldn't overturn it. That's all. None of it ever concerns you. It's the lockdown. Let's see how China handles these lockdowns, whether their way of doing it works. And then we'll do it. We'll do it if it works out for them.
There were countless stories about the high death toll suffered elsewhere, especially in the United States, and about the months of respiratory problems, cognitive impairment, and other... Did
we export our propaganda to them to use?
This is... Who fucking wrote this?
Wait.
Who is this? Is this written by someone?
Keith Bradshaw.
Because we have
Keith
the same...
Bradshaw, you better hope I never kneel on your shoulders and start doing this to your chest, because I'll never stop, okay?
What is...
You know that torture your older brother used to do to you when you were a kid?
No, I was the oldest.
Oh, you never had anybody kneel on your shoulders and then start doing that?
You had a real Catholic Irish molesty background that we didn't.
There were countless stories about the high death toll and stuff. The official newspaper of the Communist Party, People's Daily, warned on November 15th that any loosening of COVID measures would endanger the lives and health of the Chinese people. The relaxation of prevention and control will inevitably increase the risk of infection of susceptible groups.
Taylor Lorenz also works in China?
Apparently. Just a week and a half ago, the vice premier overseeing the government's COVID response, Sun Chunlin, I like that name, said that, is that a fun name? Sun Chunlin. Yeah.
Sun Chunlin.
Why is that a fun name
Sunny
to say?
Chun, what's up,
Hey, Sun Chun. He said that anyone who should be tested must be tested, and no one should be left behind. But as local governments now hurry to dismantle testing requirements and start hauling away curbside test booths, Mr. Sun Chun, changed tack on Wednesday. China's pandemic prevention faces a new situation and new tasks, given the weakening severity of the Omicron variant. Well, he's right about this.
Why aren't we saying that here?
Right? They still won't say it here. China faces a challenge. They're doing stories like, hey, get ready for masks after the holidays.
If they're not, is China forcing boosters every week on morons? Like, are they doing that? Not that they're not great. I wish they would, because they were.
China faces a challenging moment, Kurt, in its pandemic response. Experts say in a large part because of muddled messaging. The government has failed. Remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Remember that message?
Muddled messaging.
Whatever happened to that 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Was that a clear message or was that muddled?
Does Ryan Grimm work in China?
No.
Who doesn't work in China?
The government has failed to take many proven public health measures, such as aggressive campaigns. Ah!
Oh, well, that's comforting to know they don't want to just lock us down. They want to lock us down until we take this medicine they're paying billions for.
So did the guy who wrote this, did he get a little extra money? Did you get a little extra money from Pfizer to do this? Because that's what this
just
is.
His standard salary, which is paid by them.
So this is, we're going to try and not scare you about COVID anymore, but still scare you enough to make you feel like an asshole if you're not vaccinated.
So they didn't do an aggressive vaccination. That's why they're still in this lockdown nonsense.
That's right.
Well,
they're still pretending that. So they're still pretending that the vaccine works the way they said it did.
Yeah, no, it works great. It's a great vaccine. I love. First of all, I had vaccines as a kid, and I really appreciate how you take like 5 of them and then you still get the thing 2 or 3 times. I think that's a pretty cool feature.
They're still pretending. They're still pretending. And they're still pretending that, well, they just said Omicron is mild. So then why do you...
Because I don't even want to be a little sick. That's why I get 20 flu shots a year.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it matches the flu or not.
Hey, it's the mildest flu ever season. Oh, where's my flu shot?
Hey, if I got health insurance, shouldn't I be flexing it at all times?
Beijing is now rapidly moving to lighten the burden of COVID restrictions. Some neighborhood committees are beginning to let residents stay home if they or their family members are infected, instead of transporting them to makeshift hospitals, vast stadiums, or long rows of shipping containers. That's what they did. Standard procedure since the early months of the pandemic. All these places have all lifted requirements in the past several days for residents to show negative COVID tests before taking the subway or entering other public places. Yet, allaying COVID worries bordering on terror among millions of people, particularly older residents, is proving a challenge for the Communist Party and state media.
Lori Kilmartin lives in China.
Come on, cut it out. Southern Daily, a state-controlled newspaper, published on Saturday a report emphasizing a municipal estimate that 90% of Omicron infections are asymptomatic.
So now they're lying?
Citing interviews with 7 leading doctors, the newspaper also reassured readers that symptomatic cases were seldom serious, except among the elderly, and unvaccinated residents.
The Great Barrington Declaration is in China.
Guiding public opinion in a new direction will not be easy for China because state media has effectively suppressed any suggestion that COVID might be manageable. You motherfuckers. These sons of bitches.
I know a direction. Safe, effective boosters all the time.
Until recently, the experts were all geared to supporting the policy against COVID, said this guy. The media is suddenly going all the way in the direction that the virus has mutated and is less pathogenic. You know, the thing that we reported on this show a year and a half ago?
I can't believe communist China figured it out faster than the...
I know. Yet even as China adopts a more reassuring stance about the dangers of COVID, many experts urge caution.
That's right. The death of expertise, what I want killed off is that vague, which experts?
Which experts?
The pieces of shit that you know that I don't believe? Those experts?
They contend that government has not yet done enough to vaccinate the... So in an article
an advertisement.
Is an article that they write saying China is fear-mongering too much. They're fear-mongering.
And they could be safe-mongering with great vaccines that we have that I hope go there.
But they're fear-mongering so they're doing this for big pharma. So that's a big pharma fearmonger, and I hope that guy got paid well enough to write this article for the New York Times.
Well, many experts agree.
If they unroll all the restrictions too quickly, it's probably going to lead to a large number of cases and economic disruptions.
Well, I wish there was a solution, which there is, called safe, effective Pfizer.
They contend that the government has not yet done enough to vaccinate the elderly, prepare hospitals, and educate the public. Educate the public that the Omicron is very mild. Educate the public that they don't have to be worried about it.
See, they didn't.
But you are scaring them about it right here, telling them you better get your friggin'.
Like, China didn't need to figure out a way to be more like China because they are China.
They are China.
Whereas we were like, how do we get to be?
Hey, let me just say this. The vaccines are safe and effective, and they will slow the transmission and contraction, and they will keep you out of the hospital or getting seriously ill or
you
dying.
Sure will. And can I say this? And this might just be a feeling I had, but I felt like I was getting a little high. Now, I don't know if that's science, but just a little bonus. Hey, maybe it's not that. But I felt pretty good, like I was high. So
Christ.
If that helps you guys do the right thing, I'm just
That helps you do the right thing. Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, December 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. And we're going to be in Tempe, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets. See you there.